I was in a hell of a fight, losing a lot of people.
The common talk among other military wives was this just like, don't look at the news and keep yourself away from looking at that too much or dissecting that so much so that you don't worry if that applies to your partner.
Other families were getting notified of somebody being hurt or wounded. Did that not make it to you?
Oh, as the wife, just wondering if you were going to get that call soon because people were kind of dropping like flies. And I was definitely terrified.
Today, we're going to talk about traumatic events in the military from the spouse's perspective. So I'm going to ask a couple questions just to frame the conversation, but the intent is really to get your point of view. Okay. So,
yeah.
Can you tell me where you were at May 2007?
Yes, I was in a training clinic, which is a center for budding therapists. I was in a therapy training program and was, in fact, the manager of the community clinic and was kind of in the middle of my workday. Just a regular workday, although it didn't
and when's
feel like
your
time passed.
Now for anyone who's listening, I know her birthday, but when's her birthday?
Yeah, that's right. Don't ask. May 2nd. May 2nd was my birthday.
2nd.
Yeah.
Had you heard from me on May 2nd?
I had not heard from you on May 2nd. And I did think that was a little odd because while I had expected to only hear from you here and there and not know when it was going to be while you're deployed, you typically know when there are important dates and I've known you to still somehow find a way.
Do something.
Say,
yeah.
Or yes, do something. Like maybe even get something in the mail or I don't know. But just I was expecting half-heartedly something from you on my birthday and May 2nd. Yeah.
So at that point, I'd been I'd been deployed for approximately 7 months. Mm-hmm. And what was, besides me reaching out on or near important events or dates, what was like a typical, how frequently you might hear from me?
Yeah, I typically would hear from you maybe like once a month, maybe every 3 weeks if I'm like being generous, But at that time it was, a true acceptance of I would never know when I'm going to hear from you.
Right, right.
And so I did have to keep myself very busy in mind and heart so that I wouldn't be so distraught or worried for the long silences.
Right. So kind of to paint both sides of the story here, what was happening with me, besides just generally speaking deployed, I was in a hell of a fight. Losing a lot of people, losing a lot of equipment. Those monthly phone calls, it's like it's my monthly shower.
When they did on the base, and
right, because I did not live on base. I lived essentially outside the wire in enemy territory,
which to me was scary.
Right. And so from your perspective, if you can kind of put yourself back in that mindset, what did you think was going on? Like, you knew I was deployed, but kind of juxtapose your view with, and this video is not about me, but I can briefly share, like, this is what's going on with me. What did you see?
So the common talk among other military wives, which I did make sure I was around some of them, was this just like, don't look at the news. And keep yourself away from looking at that too much or dissecting that so much so that you don't worry if that applies to your partner. And so I did. And so I really leaned on you, those monthly calls, to get a real true grasp direct from you of how scary it was and how bad it was. And I do think I won't forget when you called probably maybe 2 months in. It was very early on into your deployment, where I was like, well, what do you think now? How's it now? And I think you said something like, well, it's definitely lost its it's romance or it's something. I can't remember what it was that you said. Do you remember?
No, I don't.
When you said that.
I mean, I was trying to keep it vague because I'm not,
Yeah, but when you said
break
that.
OPSEC or not trying to make you worry.
Yeah,
but.
so it was vague enough that I had that first hint of, oh crap, are you in some stuff? And what's happening over there? Like what's really happening over there? And I'd send my care packages and I'd always wonder like, how vital is this that he gets these baby wipes? Like, is this really helping him survive?
Sure. They were vital. Yeah. They helped in between monthly showers.
I didn't know that that's something you would really lean on to help you. I mean, that's terrible. To me, that's terrible. Like I couldn't survive on baby wipes for a few days, like out there. And so I know that you were protecting.
Well, to give a little bit of props to the Army, they put a very tiny, small little square of baby wipes in your MRE. So you do also have a little,
So you could use your manners at the end of the
have someone sending you a care package, you get one of those, right?
Oh, that's good. You were able to wipe your hands. Just your hands, though.
Yeah.
Like big enough to wipe your hands.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I think and I remember there was another time you had called to tell me about something pretty critical or something big that happened. And I probed a little bit more and I could hear a little growing irritation in your voice and I wasn't sure. I was just so naive and, I'm 24 years old, 25,
right.
20. Yeah, I was that age. And I'm like, maybe he didn't hear me. So I repeat the question again, like the growing irritation. I was like, oh gosh, I'm not getting something. And that's the first time that I really got like, oh, operational security. I just need to leave this alone. And so, I learned to stop asking. But by doing that, you really are so super, like you're so oblivious to really knowing what you are exposed to and how much danger you're in day to day. And so I just went about my merry life, working through my program, trying to it's like socializing. And I would lean on some of my military spouses whose their partners were gone, deployed or doing something too. So there was a bond there. But I'm
wondering, so you're back in north of Austin, Belton, Waco, Texas area.
Middle of nowhere, Texas is what I like to
Centex.
say.
And
not Austin, and it was not Dallas.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It wasn't even Waco. It was still kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like 15 minutes from Waco or something.
Yeah.
So we were taking a lot of casualties. I don't, I'd have to look up exactly how many around by May, but all together by the time, the deployment was over, it was almost 800. And what about, other families were getting notified of somebody being hurt or wounded. Did that not make it to you?
Oh, it was that part. Actually, that's funny you bring that up because you're literally, as the wife, just wondering if you were going to get that call soon because people were kind of dropping like flies. Mm-hmm. Injuries, deaths, like dropping like flies. And I was definitely terrified of like, is that going to happen? Is that going to be, our turn at some point? And so you wait for a call. And the one thing I didn't ever want was getting a call from another voice that wasn't yours. And that's when it would signal to me that, something wasn't right. So when I got...
So do you remember where you were when you first heard that I was wounded?
Yeah. I was working and I was in the clinic, the counseling clinic. And I was waiting. I was like, I still haven't heard from him. My birthday passed, but it's okay. Forgive him. He's busy. He's doing his thing. Right. And then I got your call and I was halfway thinking should I be pissed and give you crap for it? I was halfway thinking if I should, but at that point I was getting worried. So I was like, I'll take what I can get. I'm just happy.
So this was, I think when I reached out to you, it was like May, maybe 12th or 13th.
Yeah.
And was that was the first that you heard?
Yes. Yes. So we're talking now about the day that
day that you heard.
I heard that something did happen
Right.
to you and that you did get shot.
Right.
And it was you. I remember it sounded very staticky, and it sounded more long distance than usual. And I could hear what I thought was your voice, but it was incredibly raspy. And you sounded so worn and torn. And you were speaking very slowly. So that's also what signaled to me that like something wasn't right, something happened. And then you told me Joe's, and I'm like, hey, what happened? What's going on? I haven't heard you in a while. Are you okay? And then
I missed your birthday by a week.
I missed your birthday. And he's like, I'm sorry, I was busy. I was a little busy. I was shot. And I was like frozen and like quickly dazed. I was like, wait, what? What do you, of course it's not like, I guess you're like disbelief that it'll ever happen to you, right? So you're still like, wait, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And I just remember you said it, what you did say it was an ambush. You did say that, but that's the only main fact that I remember that you shared, and that, other people got hurt. And I just, like, there was a hush, and the person sitting next to me, I remember she noticed that I was visibly upset, and I was all of a sudden disoriented, and I immediately was like, I have to go, and I haven't heard from anybody. Why haven't I heard from anyone? And you
anyone
couldn't answer.
Being the military.
Yeah, anyone being in the military. I didn't hear from anyone, but I was also very, very relieved that it wasn't anybody else in a way. Now that I think about it, I'm happy that it was you, because if it wasn't you, to me that would have meant that you died. And so hearing your voice was like, okay, he's alive. I don't know what state you were in. I don't know how bad it was. And then you did say you got shot, not just in the arm, but you got shot through the chest. And then I was just like, whoa, does that mean there's something more at risk here? And are you going to make it? And how stable are you? You couldn't answer those questions. And so that's where I was hoping and waiting to hear from somebody else to give me more updates that at least had more medical, medical references of what we were expecting here and what was next. But I went home, I didn't go home yet, but I wanted to go home.